What's crack-a-lackin', everybody? My name is Beckett.
My name is Alex.
And my name is Kage.
And welcome back to the Back on Track podcast. Before we get started, no sponsor. We don't have one.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So sad.
Coca-Cola reached out to sponsor us, but they said they would only do it if I didn't wear a white shirt. So in spite of them,
it was quote,
I wore a white
too
shirt.
white.
How can a white shirt be too white?
I don't know.
How can a white person be too white?
Well,
Those are also
speaking of
questions we're going to answer in our episode today. So there's no sponsor. However, we have new mic stands because of your donations.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
So much.
Thank you guys so much. This is the first week I have not had to have my mic stacked on top of books.
That's
so
right.
I appreciate you a lot. It's a glorious mic stand.
It's great to be able to walk in the room. It's
I know.
a miracle.
It's beautiful.
So that was kind of just something we wanted to start out with.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Dominion suing Mike Lindell for defamation because they claim that his claims against them are like false.
Yeah, but it makes his life easier.
That's what he said. He said it's going to make his life easier because now they have to open their machines to investigation.
I bet they're not sleeping well at night. You know what they need?
My pillow.
On my pillow.
But the whole thing with the Mike Lindell and Dominion thing, he said, I am 100% confident that I'm going to win, that there is something wrong. He said, not 99%, so we're going to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how that unfolds.
I don't know if there's any precedent, well, there isn't any precedent for flipping an election that's already been decided with a new president in.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. We're just going to have to see how that goes. The Supreme Court recently heard they did not hear the election cases, if I'm correct. Yeah,
they did not.
Yeah, they're like, no. And so election cases.
What's the point of them even being there, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, this is the highest court, and they couldn't even get 4 justices to say, all right, let's hear the case. Let's hear the evidence.
Yeah, like why are they even there?
Yeah. We should probably take a moment of silence because Rush Limbaugh passed away, and he's like a legend of the conservative party. So, well,
if you skipped that, you're not an American.
yeah. It was really sad. Like, I didn't even listen to Rush, but I was like, man, I kind of like. It felt really weird.
It felt weird with having like that voice gone.
Yeah, that smooth radio voice.
He is literally the reason why like we're able to do podcasting. He's such a pioneer of that whole thing.
Meanwhile, Hollywood celebrities like David Cross, friggin' Uncle Ian from Alvin and the Chipmunks, said, "Cancer killed the cancer." I hate that guy. That guy sucks.
Everyone older than that movie is super mad that we just said he's from Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Arrested Development. I never watched it.
No, Alvin and the Chipmunks, all 3 movies.
Sorry, that's what I know him from.
In Arrested Development, he's not super like a Superman character, so it's fine.
Nobody liked Uncle Ian anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he's a villain in the movie and in real life.
Yeah. New abortion law in South Carolina bans abortions as soon as a heartbeat is detected.
Nice job.
Epic win.
Getting tighter.
Meanwhile,
That's
the
good.
Equality Act just like wrecked abortion, not abortion, pro-life stuff, Christianity, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
Wild. And this one, I was talking to Kage about this. The Cherokee chief Chuck Hoskin Jr., there was a whole bit on Crowder about that because his name is Chuck. It's like, that's such a weird name for
and it's like a junior. Like there's been 2 of them.
There was Chuck Sr. He asked Jeep to change the name of the Jeep Cherokee because he didn't like that their name was plastered on the side of a car. Mm-hmm. So I would bet money that in the next year or so they're going to change the name of the Jeep just to act woke.
They probably will.
Yeah. So we might not have the Jeep Cherokee for much longer.
Especially after seeing the Jeep commercial at the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Like, what if the Mount Denali just got angry at Chevy for their Denali? They were just like, you know what?
Anyone who's ever explored anything was like, Ford!
Just explored? No, we're not okay with Christopher Columbus was just angry. He'd be angry.
He woke up from the dead.
He's like, how dare they use the title Explorer?
Yeah. Also, another good news thing, kind of like with the South Carolina law, Montana and Utah have both recently passed constitutional carry. Instead of having to, have a permit, you can now, as long as you are eligible and meet the requirements and aren't like a felon or anything, you can now carry a firearm without having a permit.
Nice.
Which I think is kind of awesome. It's like a big step forward for gun legislation, or not gun legislation, the opposite.
There were losses, but also wins in the past couple weeks.
Yeah. And I was thinking, it'd be really great to see that come to Florida and to Texas and those areas like that.
Yeah. So we've got 3 segments today.
We can do it, Ron.
Yeah.
So pause there.
Anyways, we have 3 segments today, as we've been doing.
Kick it off, Beckett.
Our first segment that I'll be taking is on the Electoral College. I'm actually doing some of this stuff for school, so I thought, you know what? Let me use some of the stuff I've studied and.
You're going to talk about how we should ban it, right? Just demolish it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Get rid of it.
Boo! Anything in the Constitution's just awful. We hate it.
Right.
No, obviously, yeah. Okay, so on the topic of the Electoral College is something that has a lot of controversy. About 61% of Americans are not in favor of the Electoral College, and that statistic was taken in 2019 and has been confirmed to this day to be true.
So it sounds like 61% of Americans don't entirely know how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever I hear most people talk about it, they don't know how the system works, like you said, but they don't even know like anything about it.
Right, yeah.
And I think, it's just, so we'll be explaining a little bit about it, having some conversation about it. But for those of you who don't know, the Electoral College is a system in which citizens over the age of 18, obviously, in the United States,
unless you're committing fraud. Because then someone under 18
or dead
between the ages of 18 and death,
and just
or after,
like George Washington voted last year. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Man, who did he vote for?
They didn't tell us. They
probably
just
Biden.
They don't want to draw too much controversy, you know.
Continue.
So a citizen over the age of 18 in the United States casts their votes towards electors that have pledged to vote for certain candidates. And I noticed a lot of people just think the points go directly to the candidates running, which is just not true. The electors still have to cast their votes. And some of them are forced to, I'll get into it, but some of them are forced to vote for the states that they said they would, or for the candidate that they said they would, sorry. So each point in the Electoral College system, there's 538 points and 530 electors. There's the amount of, I believe, congressmen and women. I think that's how it is. They get an elector and then plus 2 for 2 senators. Or no, sorry, it's based on population, and then they add 2 for each senator, 1 for each senator. That's what it is.
Oh, so it's like, is the number? It's 538.
538.
Okay,
so, and that's based on population, and then they add,
so it's 438 plus 100.
Right. So each state's minimum is 3. That's the smallest.
Got
because
it.
Yeah. That's what it is. I couldn't remember what it was. Anyways, the Electoral College was designed by our founding fathers, and it is one of, if not the best ways, in my opinion, to decide who becomes president. Just because, and we'll explain why, but it's a way that ensures no democracy. And we'll go into that,
right,
obviously.
Well, people who think that we have a democracy, it's actually a constitutional republic.
Yeah.
Which is different in a few ways. One being the fact that we have an electoral college.
So, like I said, 61% of Americans are not in favor of the Electoral College. And this is a really bad thing for people who understand what the Electoral College is. To help all the listeners understand why, I think it's best that we address like the main points. I have 3, points. 3 is the magic number on this podcast.
Yeah.
Just 3 points to really address why it's necessary. I'm going to bring up the 3 arguments that are used against the Electoral College, or
3
some of the
points,
ones
3 arguments, 3 segments, 3 electors,
3 guys talking about it.
3 guys talking about it. Yeah. Anyways, the first reason why people say. Sorry, our editor's laughing. The first reason why people say the Electoral College is not good, and why those in power make the argument against it, is that 1, it gives too much power to swing states. And so this argument is a good way to look at it, in the sense that, we don't want too many people to have more power than others. Our country was founded on equality and freedom, so we want people, to be equal and free.
Yeah.
So a swing state is a U.S. state where two major political parties have similar levels of support among voters, and this is viewed as important in determining the overall result of the presidential election. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Florida this year was considered a swing state because it could have gone
kind of been a swing state for a long time.
Yeah, but my point is, and I'll get to it, that changes. But
right.
Florida this past year and the 4 years before that, and
right.
you know, it's been a swing state.
There's
Ohio,
a few major ones.
Yeah, Ohio.
Ohio's a swing state?
Yeah, Ohio's a swing state.
It was at least a couple
definitely
years.
Definitely in 2016.
I think
2016 was like a main one that
I know,
we needed.
Michigan
was this year. Pennsylvania was this year.
Georgia is now.
Yes, well, it was now. It wasn't supposed to be.
Arizona.
But, right.
Yeah. And so really what people tend to say when they're talking about swing states is like, oh, it gives too much power because the candidates will only... Well, first of all, the elections all depended on those swing states. Like, because we already know that California is going blue. We already know all of the, middle of our country is going to be mainly red.
Right.
New York is going to be blue. That's just taken for granted. Mm-hmm. And so the candidates don't, like Hillary Clinton, when she ran in 2016, she campaigned in California one time. And
she also never went to Wisconsin and then lost it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. That was like a whole thing. She might have gone one time to Wisconsin and she was like, oh yeah, I got that one in the bag. And then she lost it.
Right.
And it was like, well, you should have gone there.
Yeah.
But anyways, California has a massive 55 points. And Hillary Clinton only had to go there one time to win it.
Did Joe Biden go there ever?
I'm not sure. I didn't look.
I don't think he went anywhere.
That's right, Basement Biden.
I was really going off of the 2016 election, mainly because that was the least, I think, less controversial. So, anyways, I think each candidate campaigned over 25 times in Florida.
Really?
In Florida in the 2016 election. Like that's crazy.
That's like compared Pennsylvania to level 2020.
And Florida only has 26 points?
29.
Man, you're so good at knowing that. But like I was about to say, swing states change. This assumes that every 4 years the politician only has to go to say Pennsylvania, Florida, and Ohio to win. But this couldn't be further from the truth, because if you want proof, like according to shareamerica.gov, it posts the major swing states every 4 years. Like which ones are going to be most controversial based on people moving, just like voting records, things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
This is a government website, by the way. It's .gov. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Also, if we use popular vote, which is what most people want to do who aren't in favor of the Electoral College, they could simply hit the most populated areas. So
right. LA, San Francisco,
New York
City.
Which makes it really unfair. They could just go to California, New York, and like you said, Chicago, just big cities. Like, and then there wouldn't be much campaigning anywhere.
Right.
At least, like, there's no way Hillary Clinton was going to lose California, even if she didn't campaign there. But she at least went once.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it'd be like all the Democrats go to the big cities, and then the Republicans hit all the states that are basically solidified and try to get as many votes as they can in those specific states.
But the problem is there's so much population in the big, heavy populated areas. It might not be enough to counteract the full, like all of North Dakota. What is the population of North Dakota?
I would have to look it up. I have no idea.
It probably doesn't. I don't know, but it probably doesn't even compare to the population of New York City.
Yeah, it's probably like just a percentage of that.
Yeah.
And so I know people are like screaming who disagree right now. They're like, yeah, but there were no Republican votes counted in California, or no, in the middle of our country, no Democratic votes are counting because those always go red. And so that's point number 2, that it ignores the will of the people. And where I disagree with this is just, no, it doesn't. The argument here is that since the person running had more votes, they should be president. And there's just one thing wrong with that, as we were saying, that makes it a democracy.
Yeah, right.
And we can't have a democracy because I said it last podcast, and I'll say it again. Ben Franklin put it this way: democracy is like 2 wolves and a lamb deciding on what to eat for lunch. The founding fathers understood that democracy was wrong. So here's some, in case you're not convinced, here's some fun examples of
but
the
before
biggest...
you do that, if you heard the dog in the background, sorry about that. We're in the bedroom right now.
Crowder has a dog too. It's okay.
Yeah. we should like make ours a part of the show.
Oh, yes.
Here it comes, actually. It's coming right out the bathroom.
Yay.
How are you doing? All right, please go.
I'll continue. She's right here. I'll continue. So here are some fun examples of some of the biggest democracy governments of all time. So number one, we start with a really fun one, and I know you guys all are a big fan. Nazi Germany. We love those guys.
Were they eroding democracy?
Yeah, they surprisingly ran a thriving country from depression to victory. World War I was awful for Germany. They got destroyed.
So was World War II.
Yeah, well,
to a point.
Yeah, they did really well in the beginning. World War I was just awful for their economic system, and they were an awful country afterwards. Like, they just had no money, and they weren't trading well, and just things like that. But World War II, they started out great. They had this. Hitler was elected. He didn't gain control by guns or power or anything. He campaigned, and people elected him.
Yeah,
and it was a majority of people, and not a fair system. Because if the majority of the people want something, you can have a Hitler.
Right. So, like, let's say someone like a Hitler-like figure ran in America, and the majority of people are like, yeah, I would vote for that guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we have Hitler as president?
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
That's not good. But, World War II started out great. Hitler was a genius, in strategy of war.
Regardless what you think about
a sociopath.
Hitler was a horrible person.
But genius war strategist, and just the ability to be 10 steps ahead of his opponents was incredible. Yeah. So obviously not a fan, just to make it clear, not a fan, but he ran a thriving country. They were claiming new territory every year. They were just for their the Central Powers, right?
Right.
Yes.
A thriving country murdering Jews.
Yeah, and they were just taking over all the land, doing great, and then they, killed 6 million Jews. But it's not great, killing the people who lived in Denmark. There were a lot of Jews in Denmark at the time, and just all around really that European area. And yeah, it just kind of collapsed. So I'll give you a couple more examples. I won't go into as detail as that. I just thought that was interesting to know that Hitler was elected. So if that's not enough to convince you, here's some others. Libya, Venezuela, Iraq.
Favorite.
Yeah, Venezuela is amazing. Iraq, Ghana, Uganda, which Libya, Venezuela, Ghana, and Uganda, all very poor now. So
really,
yeah.
Oh. And Iraq's neighbor just got bombed.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention that in our current events. I just want to put that out there. The president who said he would stop the attacks on the Middle East just sent a bomb over there.
It only took the first 40 days. I think it was
36 days.
36, yeah.
We had peace in the Middle East, and it only took 36 days to reverse that.
Just a little over a month.
And last but not least, North Korea. They're certainly not least. We don't really know what's going on, but we know they.
So, the only people who've been in never came out. So.
North Korea actually has a constitution. Did you know that?
A democratic constitution?
Yeah, and it defines them as a dictatorship of people's democracy. Which
wait a minute, that's gonna contradict itself.
Yeah, it's fun. It's great place. You should check it out sometime. You probably can't, but it's okay.
The interview is really good.
Yeah.
We're really gonna get back into the interview again.
It's the only thing we have with North Korea, dude.
What if Kim Jong-un is actually like he was in the interview, and he's just like.
Yeah, he's
not a horrible guy. He's just like, I like playing basketball.
He's just like Elon Musk, just super chill, but at the same time a businessman. So my third point, why people say the Electoral College is bad. This isn't like a huge point, but it's the point of rogue electors. And what this is an elector who's one of the points in the state they always pledged before to vote for a certain party. So there's actually double the amount of electors in the Electoral College. The one set, for example, in Florida, the 29 Republican, 29 Democrat. And what happens is whichever party wins, the 29 from whichever party will vote for the candidate they pledged to.
So, wait a minute. Okay, so let's say I vote Republican.
Right.
The majority of the state votes Republican from the counties.
Okay.
Does that mean that now we use the Republican slate of electors?
That means the Republican nominee, which in that case was Donald Trump, the 29 electors who pledged to vote for the Republican nominee are the ones whose votes count.
Okay.
Or points, whichever satisfies.
And then if it was the opposite, the Democratic ones would be counted. Okay.
So, yeah, that's that explained. But
right.
There have been rare occurrences, and I say rare because it's very rare, where an elector who pledged to vote for one candidate has voted for another. And when an elector does this, we call him/her a rogue elector.
He/him?
Yeah, he's... Wait, did I say that?
No, you said him/her, but that was a...
Oh. Yeah, just different, whichever pronoun, we don't discriminate.
/them.
But the rogue electors have never flipped an election. So I think that's an important thing.
Sounds about right.
Because, it hasn't really affected anything.
When was the last time?
The last time when what?
When was the last time that an elector went rogue?
I believe, I don't know if I have it written down or not. I think, in over 100 years. I think it was 1860 something.
We're really worried about rogue electors?
Really?
It's been 160
honestly,
years?
It's like the ultimate grasp at air. It's And also, 33 states plus D.C. or District of Columbia have laws to prevent that. Like, they're literally not allowed to.
Boom. Argument demolished.
Now, sometimes... This is weird. I don't know all the details on it because I'm not an expert on this, but some of the states have laws to prevent it, but they can still do it. They'll just be penalized. I don't know. There was a Supreme Court case on it a while ago, and I don't remember how it ended or what it was. And it wasn't like super big or anything, but it was because it was just rare. Obviously, a long time ago, like over 100 years. But yeah, something weird. It may have not been a Supreme. I don't know. Whatever. There was some kind of penalty, and something happened. Not a lot of information.
Great.
Sorry. Research it on your own if you want. But so I support the Electoral College. I know some people like democracy, but that's really another conversation because
democracy
it sucks.
Brings Hitler.
Just trust me. Yeah, let's not quote that one because it can bring bad leaders, and the majority of people will sometimes be not great people.
Okay, rephrase that one.
Yeah.
Your judgment can be clouded, and if the majority of people don't see the true picture, that's how a Hitler type person gets elected.
And those type of people are usually super cunning, and like Hitler was a genius,
right?
Like
and at
a
first,
sociopath, but
Time
genius.
magazine, he was the man of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying like it was like the people's fault, but if there's like like a facade on a person and you don't see the actual person and you end up voting for them.
Or say like information is being manipulated.
Right.
You would
like
have
the media.
Exactly.
And some of those people are really good at appealing to people.
Yeah.
And they're just the strategy there is just incredible. They're just getting in people's heads, making them think they have their best interests. Even if they're telling the absolute truth, they can spin it to seem like see it in their own light.
Yeah, right.
And it's just it's not great, but it's cool to see that strategy and how the genius really that's put into it.
Right. So
I don't have much against the Electoral College. If I did have to point out one thing that I don't like is the two-party system. And what that is
horrible.
It's kind of hard to describe, but it means in essence that as of right now, only really a Republican or Democratic candidate could win. That's the only primary elections they would ever show on television as of right now. Like, it's been, what? I forget. I just saw the statistic the other day. I think it's been over 100 years for sure since the office was occupied by a different candidate than a Republican or Democrat.
Yeah, and I really, like, I'm not I would vote for someone if they like if it was like I wouldn't just vote for a Republican or a Democrat. I'd rather have more options, and I'd be like, okay, this person is like a true patriot. They love America, right? They have all like America First policies, and if they weren't in the Republican Party on the ballot as a Republican, I'd be like, I'll vote for them.
Right. And what stinks is the media will always spin it to make it seem like only one of them can win, and so usually a Republican, I've heard like Republicans just voting for whoever has the R next to their name, regardless of doing any research on the candidate.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah,
that's
how Mitt Romney got so many votes.
Yeah. What a loser! Man.
Yeah. But anyways, the last state to go for an independent was in 1968, and the candidate's name was George Wallace. I've never heard of him because he didn't become president.
Obviously.
So. Yeah. And so overall, the Electoral College, I would say, is an incredible system that's way ahead of its time when it was created, is the constitutional way to elect the president and the most fair to our country because it rules out democracy.
Yeah.
So
remember, if you want our notes and sources, you can find them at sources.backontrack.com. We have, I just made a new really nice looking blog where you can see everything lined out and you can click on the links.
Look at you being creative.
Super fancy. It even has a picture of the episode title.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
Next
We're that
level.
good.
All right. Well,
nice job, Beckett.
Nice job.
Thank you.
I'm going to take it with my segment on white guilt and the toxic workplace.
Oh, let's go.
We went from Electoral College to that.
Yeah. So
smooth transition.
You know, this is kind of going to touch back on that Coca-Cola thing that we mentioned a little bit before. Let me just start off by saying I hate Coca-Cola now.
Yeah.
It's tasty.
No, it's not tasty anymore. It's terrible now.
Oh, I have to drink Pepsi. Oh.
So this whole the whole idea of the toxic workplace, it's not a new idea. It's an idea that was actually pioneered by the left. But they mean it a little bit different than I'm going to mean this right now. The whole idea of the toxic workplace is they think about how like white men or men in general, and they just pollute the entire workforce with their overbearing sexism and male privilege, or maybe their argument saying that women make 70 cents on the dollar. But I'm going to just go on a little tangent here. If women make 70 cents on the dollar, why don't businesses just hire all women? Listen, if I'm a business owner and I can get away with paying 70 cents on the dollar, I would be hiring all women.
No. Listen, it's because they hate women. It's the thing.
The patriarchy.
They just as little as possible. Let's keep it down so it looks like, this is what they're thinking. Let's keep it down so it just looks like we're not sexist, right? But in secret.
Speaking of that argument, we had a communist in our comments section.
Oh, that was amazing. I loved it.
I had to get screenshots of all of it because they deleted the whole conversation so nobody would see it.
Yeah, and like 3 other people joined in too.
Yeah, they were talking. They were like trying. I want to say it was like a UC Berkeley grad, and they were like,
it was Columbia.
Berkeley and Columbia, and they were trying
which means nothing, by the way. Your college education does not give you authority.
They actually argued that I had the intelligence of a dog because I haven't gone to college yet. He said I could be your teacher's teacher, and then he went on talking about how he would love to see me and all my Trump supporting friends gunned down by a 35 millimeter gun by the U.S. Army.
Yeah.
So
wait, but I thought they were against
genocide.
guns. I thought they were against guns.
Well, not when they're killing their political opponents.
Oh, gotcha.
So I thought that was funny.
That makes sense.
He also said he was genetically superior to all of us.
That's right. And then I made sure that he knew that Nazis thought that Jews were genetically inferior. And he said, it's a fact. You are genetically inferior to me. I was like, wow, okay.
That was literally his response. There was nothing else, no other context needed for that. That was literally his response.
That was after I destroyed his argument on the whole 70 cents on the dollar thing with facts and information.
Along with...
Because according to FBI statistics, women tend to make more than men when receiving the same education. Yeah, FBI statistics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know that. I found Time Magazine, Forbes, all these like super left-leaning publications just a couple of years ago were talking about how it's a myth that women make less than men. And I was like, wow, okay, if you're going to admit it yourself, sure. End of the tangent. I'm going to go back into it now. So the toxic workplace, they say it's, men and sexism and male privilege. But what I'm talking about or how all these large, big corporations are showing their true colors. They're expressing their
which isn't white, by the way. Just to protect them, because we know they wouldn't want us to say that.
Black Lives Matter. That's their
yeah.
But they're just expressing the super radical left discrimination against white people and even more against conservatives.
Yeah,
especially conservatives. They really hate conservatives.
Yeah,
you see,
because we have ideas.
Yeah. Wait a minute, your ideas don't line up with mine. Go die.
Yeah.
Be less white.
Be gunned down by the opposite party.
Correct. But
that wasn't Coke, by the way. That was just one guy.
That was one guy. But for those who don't know, recently we kind of touched on it. Coca-Cola had an employee training on LinkedIn. Remember LinkedIn, the thing that nobody uses anymore?
No, I've actually never heard of it.
Well, you're not very computer savvy.
I love it.
I guess
it's amazing.
I think I have a profile on LinkedIn that I made like a year ago. I don't know why, but they do basically a lot of big companies use them for employee trainings, especially now because it's all virtual and stuff.
Yeah.
And the main title of the presentation that was being shown to Coke employees was Confronting Racism, Understanding What It Means to Be White, Challenging What It Means to Be Racist. And one of the calls to action in the training was literally, quote, try to be less white.
What do they want him to do? The black voice? I'm not going to do it because it's racist.
Black voice, blackface. They probably want them to there's been so many memes going around about how it's like me after being less white, and then it's just like it's like a whole transformation of I want to say it was like Jimmy Fallon, and then they switched to Jimmy Fallon in blackface after
Jeez.
Oh my gosh.
Those photos exist. Jimmy Fallon did do blackface.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, no, both of them.
Both of them did?
Both of them did it.
Oh.
And then
Look at our
Robert Downey
Tonight
Jr.
shows.
did it, and
but he's
Ralph Northam.
No, that was just his Iron Man suit.
No.
No.
Robert Downey Jr.
No, you're ruining the movies, Alex.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, ruining the movies?
Yes.
He didn't ruin the movies for you?
Well, I mean, I didn't know, so my innocence
Do you not
protected
care
me.
about racial justice?
Well, see.
Oh my gosh, Beckett.
Look, I'm trying. I'm trying to be less white. It's just not. It's not going well.
I'm sorry, you're not going to be hired at Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Well, let me just clarify here. Coca-Cola, it was not entirely their fault. It was a lot of their fault because they're the ones who used this training. But as I just said, many corporations use LinkedIn for training, and the training originated on LinkedIn, and it was actually created by Robin DiAngelo. And I didn't recognize that name at first, and then I realized, and I looked this up, it's the same person who wrote the book, quote, White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. And that was like a whole book. I remember that book really became famous around the George Floyd area of time. And I didn't connect those dots until I looked up D'Angelo, and it all made sense at that point. I was like, that makes a lot more sense now that I know who created it. He was actually, I want to say he was taken off LinkedIn completely. The whole presentation was removed after they got that huge backlash. But what is Coca-Cola shoving down their employees' throats? That's kind of what I'm asking here.
Yeah, that's a question that needs to be said to all these other corporations that probably are using the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if most people probably forgot about this, but back in August, Goodyear had an employee diversity training where their new discriminatory zero tolerance policy was unveiled. The company was saying that attire supporting BLM and LGBT, Beckett told me to add Q+,
We
or
can't,
else
you
offend everyone else.
Don't offend the queers.
So LGBT pride were allowed, while Blue Lives Matter and MAGA gear were deemed unacceptable. In case you couldn't come to the...
Because protest is only okay when it's our protest.
And it's only okay when it burns down $2 billion in businesses.
No, but it was
steals
peaceful.
from Target.
It was peaceful. It was okay.
They just wanted bread, Cage.
Just bread?
How are they supposed to know that they can't get bread
That's
at
why
an
Jake
Apple
Paul
store?
was in there. That's why Jake Paul was
He
stealing
just
stuff.
needed some bread for his fridge.
Yeah.
For his Team 10 members.
Mary
He just
Antoinette's
needed it.
people just wanted bread too.
It's like, bruh, I just want some bread. Then why are you at the Nike store?
Oh, I'm documenting.
The new Jordans bread edition.
Bread.
It's like, oh my gosh. But in case you couldn't come to this conclusion yourself, this is discriminatory, not allowing Blue Lives Matter, but allowing Black Lives Matter. I mean, It's kind of wild, and it's kind of funny because it's not like BLM destroyed $2 billion in property over the summer. Just saying.
Yeah. I think it's also funny because I feel like people forget that black cops exist.
Wait,
like just in general.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
No, yeah. They sometimes. It's
Touche.
like
Sometimes.
Yeah. They're not exactly hiding.
It's really funny when you'll see like videos of, like, Black Lives Matter walking up to black cops
and being like, "You're racist. Stop being racist. You can't.
Like,
stop stopping us."
Man, I guess I forgot to drink Coke today.
They're just like, "Stop silencing black voices." He's like, "I am a black voice."
But so it's come down to it where your only options are to hide your beliefs or bow down to Marxist organizations like BLM. Because honestly, BLM and Coke are like in cahoots now. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty obvious. It's just another form of cancel culture, which we talked about in our last episode. By the way, we think cancel culture is bad. And someone was like, isn't canceling cancel culture is just another form of cancel culture? I was like, that's a lot to read.
But no.
No. Yeah. So it's just become now big businesses are canceling their employees for not.
Do you want to explain
why?
Having woke? Did you reply to them? We could reply to everyone listening why canceling cancel culture is not cancel culture.
Yeah, because you're canceling cancel culture.
Because you're getting rid of the cancel.
Right.
Yeah.
You're saying we don't want people
Cancel
to be
culture,
canceled because of their voice, and we're not taking away that voice. You're fine to say we think they should be canceled, but you can't actually cancel them,
like
or
that,
else you're
like,
being,
I'm going to give an example.
Yeah.
Like that person in our comments section who's being a radical communist. Like, I disagreed with every word that he said.
But we left the comment there.
Yeah, he deleted it. I posted screenshots of it because I wanted everyone to see. It's not like I don't care. I think that it's important in America that person had a voice, but I don't believe that he should have been canceled just because he said, "I hate you," and stuff like that.
If we didn't have different ideas and we weren't allowed to share them, we'd all be the same person.
Right.
That's also what we touched on in the last podcast. You haven't listened to it? Go check it out.
That's right. Episode 6, available everywhere. Also, we want to push YouTube. YouTube
everywhere.
is where it's at.
Yes.
You get to see it at 9:55. Our stream starts.
Yeah.
9:55. One of those days. It's 10 o'clock.
If you're hearing this right now, you can look right below the video, and there's a thumbs up like button
and a subscribe button.
It most likely has under 4 likes, but if you would hit that and get us above 4 likes,
we're aiming for 100,000 likes on this video.
Yes.
And you can comment. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's a crazy machine.
First comment to be first comment. You can be that guy because you can most likely win the race.
Slow and steady wins the race. Especially in the YouTube comments section. Okay, we're going to...
Yeah.
So I think after reading this, I wanted to touch on how we fix this. Because I can talk all day about how bad Coca-Cola is, but that doesn't provide any solutions. So I'm going to give us some solutions here. Mm-hmm. And you might have heard someone say that your most powerful vote is the vote you make with your dollar. It's important to vote for politicians. Actually, not politicians. Politicians are bad. Vote for people that support your values. But I think the most important is to vote with your dollar. And this is based on the idea that you are in control of your dollar and you get to decide whether or not you will support companies like this. So I already don't drink Coke. I don't have Goodyear tires on my car. That's
a double win.
Yeah, it seems petty, but I can't support something like that, and I will never buy another pair of Nike shoes. I just walked into the shoe store right by Petco the other day. I'm gonna touch on that in a second, but I looked at the Nike shoes. I'm like, oh, these look pretty nice, but I will not buy these because I cannot support that. Right? I deleted my Twitter account even though I only had 5 followers. Like, I can't support that.
You showed them.
Yeah, right, exactly. Whenever I look to buy something, I check to see if I can get it made in America because that's something that's important to me.
No, we're not saying necessarily boycott the businesses.
No, I'm not. I'm saying support what you believe in.
And use your voice to speak out against what you don't believe in. Because, honestly, I believe that all of the people speaking out against this stuff, they're making it seem like a bigger number than it is. Right. It's not this big scary mob of people. They're just trying to make you subconsciously agreeant. They want you to agree with them without you realizing it. They'll just be like, oh, everyone agrees, so you should too.
Right.
But if you just speak out against this, you'll realize that these numbers aren't that big. Like, the majority of America doesn't support these things.
Yeah, exactly. And then like AOC calls out to boycott Goya, and then Goya's sales quadruple.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that didn't work. But so I'm not saying boycott. I'm saying, support what you value. And that I would, any day, I would, what would I do? I would buy American made stuff over stuff that's made in China. It might cost a little more, but that's what I believe in. And I don't believe sweatshops should be, obviously there's some things where you just like don't have a choice. Like every phone you're going to ever buy is made in China, which kind of sucks that little sweatshops with little children are making your phone. I hate that, but I don't have a choice on that. And as soon as a phone becomes made in America, I would highly consider buying that.
Then you cop it. You just cop it.
Cop it. So, you just have to understand the value of your dollar. And maybe at some point, these woke companies will finally understand that supporting these dangerous causes makes them lose money, because people won't stand for garbage like be less white. I mean, I don't, and I won't. So, yeah.
And as you see, like in the NFL, the Super Bowl is getting less and less viewers every single year.
Yeah. Because they donated $250 million to black causes. Like, what does that even mean?
I thought you were going to say because Tampa Bay made it to the Super Bowl. I was about to be really sad. I'm a Tampa Bay fan.
Well, Tom Brady's there. Everyone's watching it.
Yeah, that's true. They're just like, this guy again?
I'm not even big on football, but I so admire the fact that Tom Brady has won 7 Super Bowls.
I feel like people who don't follow football just like turn it on every year and they're just like, this dude again? He's not even on the same... Wasn't he on the Patriots?
Dude, he's so good.
How does this get...
And
Did they change logos?
Like, he doesn't care. Did you just see like he was at the Super Bowl without a mask, and everyone's like, "You should be using your platform to support good." He's like, he did use his platform, but for something he believed in.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
he's a Patriot, even though he's not on the Patriots anymore.
Yeah, sure. But I think this comes to like, if there's a lot of big companies like this, right? So like Coca-Cola, beverage company. It's like, have you wanted to start a company? Like, why, if you want to start a company, why not try and take on these corporations that you don't agree with, right? I mean, you can make an excuse like, oh, Coca-Cola is huge and they have unlimited money. It's like, yeah, but they started somewhere. You started somewhere. You will start somewhere. And I think it sounds crazy, but I'm not kidding. Make a better Coke. Show the world why they should pick you over them, right? Make shoes that don't come from Chinese sweatshops. Explain why people should ditch Nike for your shoes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This is just, some ideas. And it's all about defending morals and ideas. You have to ask yourself how far you're willing to go to support what you believe in. And if that means taking on the biggest beverage company in the world, then so be it.
Yeah. So. That was a great segment, Alex.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Make sure you're not too white in this segment, Kage.
I'll try my best. But this segment is about the minimum wage, which is a very hot topic right now. Hot. But everyone is pushing for this $15 minimum wage. And they also want to push for the minimum wage to be a living wage, which is what I'm going to get into. The minimum wage should not be a living wage. It should be a starting wage, especially for low-skill workers. You are paid for your skills that you offer. And say I'm a 16-year-old kid that wants to go work in fast food. I should not be able to live off what I'm making because I literally have no skills to put into the job.
Right. Give him $15 an hour and it's your first job, like, for real? Yeah,
I've never been in an actual work environment, and you're saying that I should be paid the same as someone with, like, way more experience.
Right.
Making a living wage. Like a 16-year-old kid making a living wage. Like, that's ridiculous. I have no skills whatsoever.
And it's not necessarily like, if you're a good hard worker and you deserve that money, like, for your work, then absolutely.
Yeah, but
your boss has the freedom to give you that promotion and give you that wage.
And that's why it's a starting wage.
Right.
See, you work harder because you want to better yourself. You want to grow. You want to move up.
And I think it's important to learn the importance of marketable skills. Mm-hmm. Like I if you want to get paid more, learn something that will help you get paid more, right?
Exactly.
Like, you want to you're good at math. Maybe learn bookkeeping, right? Because bookkeepers get paid way more than fast food attendants.
Yeah.
I'm just,
it's kind of ridiculous that some people think that they should just have a living wage for going and working.
Yeah.
Like for anywhere.
So what? Everyone can do that.
Yeah, exactly. Minimum wage should be for teenagers or people that don't have any skills or very low skills, because it's not fair for people that have a lot of skills to go and make the same amount of money that you're making.
Right. Yeah.
Among the disadvantages of increasing the minimum wage is probable that consequences of businesses would increase prices.
Right.
Which all
because you have to offset, right? So like if everyone in a restaurant now has to get paid $15 an hour, then the
everything
food
on the menu
go
is going to be $1 or $2 more.
Right. Which adds up over time.
Yeah.
Same with grocery stores and places like that, you know.
Yeah, and so opponents argue all the time that raising the minimum wage would likely result in wages and salaries increasing across the board, thereby sustainably increasing operating expenses for companies that would then increase the prices of products and services to cover their increase in labor cost.
Yeah. Right. I think if we could stop 1 second, I wanted to keep going with that actually, because that was actually a good point. Like, if you increase the minimum wage to $15, right, everything on the menu has to go up in price.
Exactly.
If everything on the menu goes up in price, the customers have to pay more money. Where are they getting the money from? Well, they're going to need higher paying jobs. Where are the higher paying jobs coming from? An endless cycle of inflation that's starting just because of something simple like minimum wage.
Right. So at some point it's going to be like, I saw a joke and it's like, all right, we should raise the minimum wage to whatever Elon Musk makes per hour. And I looked it up and it was $20 million an hour.
He does not make $20 million an hour.
Throughout, it was based on 2020. From the start of 2020 to the end of 2020, if you took his net worth, obviously net worth is not the same because you can't spend your net worth. He made $20 million for every hour of 2020.
What?
Yeah,
but remember, he can't use it because it's locked up in stock and shares of his company.
Yeah, and again, like raising those prices then negates the entire argument of people would be lifted out of poverty because housing would become more expensive.
The whole thing is when you raise minimum wage, especially as significant as $15 an hour, they cut hours and they cut employees. But I'm talking about businesses. So I don't know if you have this in here, Kage, but I read that when businesses raise minimum wage to $15, workers saw a decrease of like $125 a month in income.
Yeah,
so they actually make less. One, because their hours are cut, and the rest of them just have no job. So unemployment goes up.
Yeah. So it also like brings up like you have job losses, and many economists. I think that's how you pronounce that. Economists. Sorry. I said that and I was like, that sounds wrong. But economists and businesses. Executives who point out that labor is a major cost of doing business and argues that business will be forced to cut jobs and maintain profitability, which means that a lot of very small businesses would not be able to stay open because they have to pay so many people more.
Right.
Yeah. So, people ask like, what would the like $15 per hour like affect small businesses? And with fewer than 50 employees, 7 out of 10 of them believe that it would make it harder for them to stay in business. So say you have 50 employees, which is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
You have 50 employees. They said raising the minimum wage to $15 would basically 70% of the time make them negated.
Right. Well, if you look at it like based on skill, 50 employees, that's like a restaurant would have 50 employees, like a mid-sized restaurant, I call it.
Yeah.
So now
like a local restaurant,
dishwashers making the same amount as cooks and stuff like that. So I think one, who's going to get cut? Because out of those 50 employees, there are going to be cuts if everyone makes more money.
Yeah.
What if 50 employees? Let's say they're making an average of like what, $12 an hour?
Yeah.
So that extra $3 an hour is what? $150 an hour that everyone's working.
Well, look, man, dishwashing is hard, all right? It's impossible to wash a spoon without getting some water on you, all right?
But I'm just saying, it's not a marketable skill because you can't take that anymore.
Right, yeah.
Anyone can wash a dish is what I'm saying.
Yeah, which is also brings me back to the point in the beginning where it should be a starting wage.
Exactly.
Yeah, in the 2019 CBO reports that The estimate of raising the minimum wage to $15 by 2025 would result in approximately 1.3 million jobs lost.
So it doesn't sound like those. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the 1.3 million people let go from their jobs are going to make more money.
Well, they will make unemployment.
Huh.
So,
and this is also before businesses were already going out of business,
right,
because of lockdowns.
The economy dips, national debt rises.
But
and we're not even in a war yet.
1.3 million jobs plus whatever jobs were just lost by the Keystone Pipeline shutdown. Man, it is going to be an awesome couple of years. But, yeah. So
the number could be also substantially higher if companies made a major move towards outsourcing more jobs to less expensive labor markets outside the country.
China, Mexico.
Yeah, as you were saying, like made in China in the last segment, or we're trying to make it in America, but it would also be harder to make it in America because everything's so much more expensive.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and the majority surveyed believed that $15 per hour minimum wage would have a negative effect on the youth employment by 83%.
That makes sense. That actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because if I'm Taco Bell, I will not hire a 16-year-old if I could hire a 30-year-old at the same price.
Yeah, because you trust them more because they have more experience, they have a resume, all these things. But it also affects the adult employment rate by 52%.
So either way, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, and the number of jobs available would be 76% of what we see today.
Really?
Yeah.
So that would drastically increase unemployment, if you ask me.
Well, less is more.
Less is more.
Especially when it comes to jobs.
And jobs and money and just,
Money, less is more.
In 2008, David Newmark and William L. Washer, I think it is? Washer. Served 2 decades of research into the effects of minimum wage laws. Here's one thing that they had to say about how the minimum wage hikes would reduce earnings of low-paid workers. The evidence suggests that higher minimum wage tends, on average, to reduce the economic well-being of affected workers. Evidence regarding the effects on the workers initially paid at or just above the minimum wage suggests, and that their labor income declines as a result.
Because they're working less hours.
Exactly.
Oh. Wow. Could have told you that. Man, David Newman and Mr. Washer, they knew it, and that was 13 years ago. So
yeah,
this isn't new. This is not new.
I don't understand what people think they will gain out of the $15 minimum wage. And I don't know if they're being fed misinformation or information that I'm just not seeing, but why would you want to raise the inflation across the board in America? Which means that I go to...
Because it makes your party look good?
Maybe.
That's exactly why. I honestly don't think the Democratic Party has the best interests of the people in mind, because the best interest of the people would not be to raise the minimum wage, because it's going to hurt American workers. And if you think differently, well, then go get a minimum wage job and wait until your hours get cut when it gets raised to 15. You're not going to make any more. You're probably going to make less. Yeah.
And it's funny how most of the people who are like, oh yeah, more minimum wage, or not even... The people who are have the loudest voice are not making minimum wage. So
yeah, they're teenage girls, Beckett.
Well, all right.
I got you there.
Finally, the net outcome of an increased minimum wage might be a large number of overqualified workers taking minimum wage positions that would ordinarily go to young or otherwise inexperienced workers. This could impede younger, less experienced entrance onto the market from obtaining work and gaining experience to move their careers forward. So as we're wrapping up on this, it's basically prohibiting young people to work and learn new skills because they can't get a job anywhere.
Right. That just wrecks the future, because then they're not going to get a job.
And they are going to it's going to make them lazier and not want to work either.
Wonderful. That's just great.
That's what we need now in America, is people to be lazier than they already are now.
Yeah. So, well.
Yeah. That was a good segment, Kage.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up. I just... So we mentioned it before. We have a fundraiser we're doing because we're trying to get new equipment because we're borrowing some stuff and we're in a bedroom right now. We got a studio, but we can't use it because it's not soundproof.
That was a big announcement, guys. That was a big announcement.
We got a studio.
Did we not mention that last
No,
time?
we said there was an announcement coming, and then you just like drop it on them. Like,
I thought we already said it. Yeah, we have a studio now, but we can't use it because it's not soundproofed. So with your donations, our plan is to get new microphones because this one has a buzz in it and it's really annoying, and get soundproofing so we can use our studio, our beautiful studio.
And thank you for donating because I have this beautiful mic stand.
Yeah, Kage is so happy about his mic stand.
I cannot believe you just dropped the news like that. I'm still stuck up on that. How did you? I
thought we mentioned it.
I was like, oh, be more hype. Like, this is something that no one knows.
I listen. Okay, whatever. Our goal, we're trying to raise $6,500 because that would really pay for everything. We're like a tiny bit of the way there. We're not even a quarter of the way. That was just a tiny bit.
What would you say, like 1/7 of the way there?
Like 10%.
10%?
About 10%.
Okay.
But, anything helps. We have PayPal links. If you go to donate.backontrack.com, you can find everything. Not everything, our PayPal link. Yeah. But we're just going to leave it there. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Yeah, make sure to share with your friends.
This was a long one, but share it with your friends.
Subscribe and like. That's important. We can see it, guys.
Yes.
We can see it.
Make sure you send your questions to info@backontrack.com. We answer all of them. You can also send us DMs. We answer most of those. Actually, all of those, because we don't get many. But remember, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at Back on Track Podcast across the board. We like to keep it the same.
Yes, please share with your friends. Get it out there. Send it to anyone you know. We're trying to reach as many people as possible. Thank you for we have one person in France that listens, right?
Well, I think we have like 10 people in Europe, actually.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
So
look
thank
at those
you
Patriots.
to Europe.
We're international, guys.
International, baby.
We post new episodes every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And we would like to thank you for listening. And we are now
signing off.
Boom!
Yes. In the books.